May Allah reward you. Please sit down. Inshallah, Lord, إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له واشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وبعد. قال الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل للمؤمنين يغضوا من أبصارهم ويحفظوا فروجهم ذلك أزكى لهم إن الله خبير بما يصنعون وقل للمؤمنات يغضن من أبصارهن ويحفظن فروجهن ولا يبدين زينتهن إلا ما ظهر منها وليضرب بخمرهن على جيوبهن ولا يبدين زينتهن إلا لبعولتهن أو آبائهن أو آباء بعولتهن أو أبنائهن أو أبناء بعولتهن أو إخوانهن أو بني إخوانهن أو بني أخواتهن أو نسائهن أو ما ملكت أيمانهن أو التابعين غير أولي الإربة من الرجال أو الطفل الذين لم يظهروا على عورات النساء ولا يضربن بأرجلهن ليعلم ما يخفين من زينتهن وتوبوا إلى الله جميعا أيها المؤمنون لعلكم تفلحون. Say to the believing men that they should lower their gaze and guard their modesty. That will make for greater purity for them. And Allah is well acquainted with what you do. And say to the believing women that they should lower their gaze and guard their modesty, that they should not display their beauty and ornaments except what must ordinarily appear thereof, that they shall draw their views over their bosoms and not display their beauty except to their husbands, their fathers, their husbands' fathers, their sons, their husbands' sons, their brothers, or their brothers' sons, or their sisters' sons, or their women, or the slave whom their right hand possesses, or male servants free of physical need, or small children who have no sense of the shame of sex, and that they should not strike their feet in order to draw attention to their hidden ornaments. And all you who believe, turn your all together toward Allah, that you may attain His. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dearest brothers, sisters, and parents, today we have a slightly more serious topic. And I call it serious because this sin is very severe in the eyes of Allah. Now when a Muslim hears the word zina, usually their minds go immediately to the actual act, which is correct, but there are also minor zina that can lead to the major zina. The definition of zina is the unlawful relation between a man and woman who are enjoined by the bond of marriage. Therefore, we will start with the minor zina. There are two types. There are three types. Zina of the heart, tongue, and eyes. Zina of the heart is committed by wishing. Zina of the tongue is committed by speaking. And zina of the eyes is committed by looking. So what does this all mean? Well, first things first, zina of the eyes. This sin is committed by looking at someone or something which is unlawful to you. As it is stated in the ayah above, Allah commands that believing men lower their gazes. Why? Because a man in general, believing or not, does not have a right to look and stare at a woman who is not his mahram of his wife. So it is more emphasized on a believing man to lower his gaze. And it's not guaranteed that refusing to lower your gaze will lead to something else, but you never know. So to be as far away from the sin as possible, then lower your gaze. Now, of course, there's also the accidental first look. And that's if you're walking or something, you accidentally see a woman, and at that moment you look away immediately. Then it is not a sin because then it was a mistake. Remember, that's only if you look away immediately. And remember that you're not smarter than Allah. This deen was set for our own convenience and ease. Who may complain and fight over the rulings that Allah has set? But, my brothers, sisters, and parents, Allah knows us better than we think we know ourselves. Allah tells us to lower our gazes because He knows the outcome of refusing to do so. We may say, oh, it's only one look, but one look can turn into many things. And that brings me to my next point, inshallah. Allah also says in the next ayah, وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ, meaning women are also commanded to lower their gazes. A lot of the times it is misunderstood that men are only required to lower their gaze, which is not true at all. Both men and women were created with desire, so it will only be fair to have the commandment obligated on both sides. Now the next step is zina of the tongue. This sin is committed by speaking in a way that provokes forbidden feelings in the heart of a non-mahram, or in other words, flirting. Allah says in Surah Ahzab, ayah 32, يا نساء النبي لستن كأحد من النساء إن اتقيتن فلا تخضعن بالقول ويطمع الذي في قلبه مرض وقلنا قولا معروفا. O wives of the Prophet, you are not like anyone among women. If you fear Allah, then do not be soft in speech to men, lest he in whose heart is a disease should be moved with desire, but speak with appropriate speech. Now, the first counter argument that one may come up with is that this ayah is targeting the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But take the part of the ayah that says, "If you fear Allah." You see, we human beings, we are very capable of totally ignoring the important aspects of things. Ever since it said in the beginning, "O wives of the Prophet," then you immediately turn away because you think it doesn't apply to you. But my sisters and mothers, pay attention to the part where it says, "If you fear Allah." We're all Muslims here, and we are bound to fear Allah. It's in our name. The meaning of a Muslim is the one who submits. And if you have submitted to Allah, you will do as He says. Allah has said for us to fear Him and obey Him, then we shall do that. Therefore, it is fair to say that when Allah says in the Quran, "If you fear Allah," then whatever commandment precedes that statement applies to every single Muslim, and that's specified. As in this ayah, Allah has specified for women to not speak softly to men because it will spark desire in the heart of a man with a disease. What does this mean? Well, this ayah is not talking about disease in the literal sense, but rather it's saying a man whose heart is not pure. It doesn't necessarily have to be a non-Muslim. It is just talking about a man who doesn't mean any good, or a man whose heart is stained with sin. Allah is the only one who can see into the hearts of creation. So to be safe, we should not speak in a soft or flirtatious tone to any non-mahram. Allah does this for our own good because we have no idea what the voice of a woman can do. I mean, think about it. A woman is not allowed to be an imam for what reason? Of course, there are many reasons, but one of the main ones is her voice. Imagine how much fitna it would cause if a woman was allowed to lead prayers with men in the crowd. That is why it is important that we just give the knowledge to Allah, the all-knowing, the all-wise. Building off of the concept of hearts, we now go into the next step, which is zina of the heart. This sin is committed by wishing and desiring that which is haram. It is important that we don't have our heart set on a person in the wrong way that will lead to sin. But it is also apparent that zina of the heart is in no way possible if it didn't start with the eyes. That is why it is important for us to lower our gazes so that we can avoid zina from the beginning. For example, Allah says in Surah Al-Isra, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا إِنَّهُ كَانَ فَاحِشَةً وَسَاءَ سَبِيلًا. And do not approach unlawful intercourse. Do not approach unlawful intercourse. Indeed, it is ever an immorality and is evil as a way. Allah specifically says to not even approach sinner. So what does this mean? That means that this mindset that looking or flirting and wishing are just small gestures and they won't lead to something that's wrong. Allah tells us not to approach it because He knows that once you decide to look again, there's no going back. These actions that you believe to be small and insignificant may be that way by itself, but it piles up. And it continues to do that until the sin becomes a major one. That is why Allah has said to not even approach, meaning to stay away from the minor sins, then you won't commit the major sins. This constant excuse that people use when you warn them of major sins like zina. When you tell them to lower their gauges, they come up with a million and one excuses of why they can't. And I think it's because we humans don't think about what our actions could lead to. Because one can believe that one look is just something small. I mean, why not take a look? That can't hurt, right? And then guess. Guess who decides to come at that moment? Shaitan. He comes to you and he whispers, hey, why not take another look? I mean, the first one wasn't that bad, right? Why don't you go ahead and take a little longer look? The first look was only a second, and the second look ends up being 5 seconds. And then there's a third and fourth and fifth look. And then the look becomes a stare. And next thing you know, you're walking towards the person, or you're talking to them, and so on and so forth. So don't take major signs, don't take minor signs lightly. Like our sister Fatia Abass had mentioned before. Minor sins build up to major sins. So that is why if you're afraid of committing the major sins, then simply don't do the minor sins. No matter if you think that you're not that kind of person or something. Everyone is prone to sinning, especially if you are not careful to stay away from the minor sins that lead to you. So, my brothers, sisters, and parents, let me tell you a story who a Yemenite scholar, Wahab ibn Munafir, has related from the people of the book. And it is about a man named Bagsisa. And this is not a story only for entertainment. You have to listen closely to the story and make sure you take lessons from the actions of this man. Because my brothers and sisters, we don't want to end up like him. This man Bagsisa was a very pious man at the time of Bani Israel. He was a monk at the time, which is equivalent to a sheikh now. So let's say he was a sheikh. Bagsisa was a very, very pious sheikh who everyone in the community knew about. He had his own temple where he would worship Allah day and night. The story goes that 3 brothers wanted to go to jihad, but they had a sister. And they were worried that there wouldn't be anyone to look after their sister. Then they thought, who could be a better person than Bagsisa? He's pious, he fears Allah, and he is a pious king. So they go to Bagsisa and they ask him if he could look after their sister. Immediately, Bagsisa says, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. No way! So the brothers felt disappointed and they left. Then at this moment, my brothers and sisters, Shaitan comes. He comes and he says to Bagsisa, brother, what are you doing? These men, they want to go to jihad. They're going for a good cause. They're going for the sake of Allah. Bagsisa, if you don't look after her, who is going to look after her? You're the most noble man. You're the most pious man. If they leave her with someone else, what do you think will happen? So then Bagsisa says, maybe I should look after her for the sake of Allah and for the sake of these brothers. My brothers and sisters, this is where the story really begins. Let's continue and see how Shaitan continues to trick Bagsisa. So Bagsisa calls the brothers back and he says, I'll look after your sister for the sake of Allah, but she won't be staying with me. She'll stay at a house. I have at the back of my temple, and I'll stay here. So the brothers had no problem, and they went to jihad. So what Bagsisa would do is he would cook some food and leave it outside of his door. So she would have to get out of her house and walk all the way to his door, pick up the food, and go back. This man feared Allah so much, but he had already opened the door for Shaitan. And when you open the door for Shaitan, there's no going back. So Bagsisa was doing this for some time, and after a while, Shaitan comes back. And he says, you know, Bagsisa, Now you make her walk outside all the way to come to your door. This is a fitna. People can see her outside. I think you should put some food on her doorstep. Now Bathsheba cooks her food and puts it on her doorstep. Then Shaitan comes back and says she still has to open the door, put the food inside her house. The brothers were taking a long time. So Shaitan goes back to Bathsheba and he says, it's been a long time. This woman has no one to talk to. No friends at all. Maybe you should talk to her. Otherwise she will go outside and Allah will cause fitna outside. For the sake of Allah, brother, just talk to her. So Bathsheba, he still feared Allah. So he would stand outside and he would shout. So imagine you're in the house and you're having a conversation with someone all the way downstairs. It was kind of like that. After some time, Shaitan says, "But Caesar, why are you embarrassing yourself? Instead of screaming and shouting, go inside the house and speak to her there." But Caesar starts speaking to her inside the house, and short conversations become long conversations, which become even longer conversations, and then becomes one look, then one touch, and then my brothers and sisters, but Caesar committed sin. This pious sheikh, who didn't even want to look after this woman, has now committed one of the most severe crimes in Islam. So now the woman fell pregnant and gave birth to a baby boy. Shaitan comes to Bathsheba and he says, "Bathsheba, if the brothers come back and see this baby and you were the one responsible for looking after their sister, how will you explain that to them?" Now Bathsheba's worried and he's like, "What do I do?" And Shaitan says, "You have to kill the boy. Get rid of the elements." So you can guess that Bathsheba killed the boy. Then Shaitan comes back and he says, "Do you really think this woman will stay quiet about what happened? You have to kill her too." So Bathsheba has committed zina and double murder. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. After all this time, the brothers come back and ask where their sister is. And Bathsheba says, "Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un." Your sister became very ill and Allah took her. Such a big lie. Such a big lie. So Bathsheba showed them a fake grave, and the brothers basically wild. The next morning, one of the brothers said, "Hey, I had a very interesting dream last night." And the other brother said, "I had a weird dream too. What did you see?" The first brother said, "I had a dream that our sister was not sick, but rather she fell pregnant and gave birth to a boy, and both of them was murdered." And the other brother's like, "Well, both of us can't be wrong." So they both go to the place where they saw and they dug up the grave and found their sister and their baby there. The brother goes to Bathsheba and says, "Bathsheba, you lied to us. This is what actually happened. And now we're taking you to our ruler." On his way to the ruler, Bathsheba said, "How did I get myself into this mess? Zina, double murder, and now I'm going to be executed." Subhanallah. When Bathsheba is taken to the ruler, Shaitan comes to him in the form of a man. And he asks, "Bathsheba, do you know who I am?" Bathsheba says, "No, I don't." And Shaitan says, "Bathsheba, I am Shaitan, and I am the one who brought you into this mess. And I am also the one who can get you out." And Shaitan replies, and Bathsheba says, "How? Anything, just get me out of this." And Shaitan replies, "Make sajda to me, Bathsheba, and I will get you out. That's all you have to do." Bathsheba makes sajda to Shaitan. And that's not even the worst part. Shaitan says, "Thank you very much. It was nice knowing you." Then after that, Bathsheba was executed. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And that was the end for him. The next time you'll be seeing Shaitan is in Jahannam. May Allah safeguard us, and may Allah protect us from Shaitan. My brothers, sisters, and parents, we have to remember that Allah knows us more than we know ourselves. Allah has created us and everything in the universe. Isn't it reasonable for us to listen to our Creator and cherish Him? Our piety cannot compare to the piety of this man, Bathsheba. But look what he ended up doing. He ended up committing zina, murder, and making sajda to Shaitan. When we seek knowledge from a teacher, we don't sit down in front of them and act like we know it all. What good will we get from that? And if the teacher decides to say, I don't want to teach you anymore, then what can we say? So imagine with the one who has created knowledge, the all-knowing. Why is it when Allah commands us to do something, we have excuses, we have complaints, we have concerns? That is not acceptable. We are Muslims because we believe that there is only one God. And our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the messenger. Therefore, we follow the commandments of that one God and the etiquette of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah safeguard us. May Allah guide us and keep us on His path. May Allah make us from among the companions of Jannah. This is your sister, daughter, and student, Aisha Kuzbali. If there were any mistakes, know that they were from me. Allah doesn't make any mistakes. May Allah forgive my mistakes and all of our mistakes. Inshallah, until next time. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على محمد سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك جزاك الله خيرا والسلام عليكم